because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. It's a brother Aharon coming back at you with another lesson, Lord willing to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, and I'm going to do this real quick. All right, I have this article here I wanted to jump into. It kind of caught my attention. I believe it was yesterday. Okay, and just kind of reading through it again. You know, it's basically an indicator of everything we've been saying. All right, that America is done. All right, and this is all lining up with, you know, the agendas that these elites have. Okay, or have had, okay, that we always, you know, talk about, all right, Agenda 2030 and so on and so forth. You will own nothing and you'll be happy. So from 2020 to 2025, going into 2026, you've seen a gradual, accelerated, gradual process of eroding and undermining the structure of America, because it's in preparation, all right, for the UBI/MOTB system. Okay, and this article pretty much, you know, highlights, all right, how they're going to be able to get the American people, all right, to pretty much fall for this. Okay, so it says here, young Americans believe the country is heading down a dark road and have lost faith in America. Okay, it says a new Harvard, that's crazy, a new Harvard youth poll reveals deepening despair among Gen Z. Young adults aged 18 to 29 express profound economic anxiety amplified by AI's disruptive potential. Conducted in early November 2025 with 2,040 respondents, the survey marks the 25th edition of this long-running barometer of young sentiment. Over half, 57%, believe America is veering off course, a 6-point jump from last year and surpassing the 37% gloom during the 2009 Great Depression. Financial strain hits hard. 43% report struggling or facing limited security. This burden weighs heaviest on Black and Hispanic youth, as well as those without college degrees. Okay, so Black and Hispanic youth pretty much makes the house of Israel. You so-called Blacks and Latinos, man. All right. And of course, you have the Native Americans, but they're pretty much grouped in, all right, under the Hispanics. All right. When you really look at how Esau categorizes the Israelites, he pretty much has the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom. Okay. He calls them Black and brown communities. All right. So those are the ones that are they're feeling the burdens the most, all right, the heaviest. All right, and that's because this is not our rest. All right, let's get that real quick. Okay, the Lord brought us here as a form of, not as a form, but really as a place of our captivity. Okay, let's get that in the book of Micah, chapter 2, and verse 10. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sore destruction. So the land, all right, that we're in is filled with what? Sin. Okay, it's completely ruined with sin. Okay, and the more you revel in it, all right, the more sinful you become. Okay, because it's just, you're going to be a sinful person by nature, by default, because of the system in which America, all right, is built on. It's all built on wickedness and sin, man. So it's kind of hard to understand why IUIC will be teaching that the MOTB is sin in all its various forms when these devils are not creating a structure that's based on sin. And we're going to read a little bit about that as well. Okay, because all angles, all directions are leading to the MOTB. All right, and which is the RFID microchip. It's an implant that they're going to put underneath the people's skin in order to use it as a registry and as a form of identification, and also your power to make purchases. It's point blank period, bro. Okay, you got other camps, BOW. Yo, man, let's keep going, man. It says, It says inflation tops concerns named by 46% of Republicans and 36% of Democrats. Broader woes include a sluggish job market, soaring housing costs, and technological upheaval. Okay, and when you scrutinize, all right, these three things, right? You got the market, you got the housing, and then you got the technology, the technological advancements that's happening. When you actually look at all behind, when you look to see who's behind all of this, all right, you got these giant NGOs, okay, these non-governmental organizations that are behind all of this. Okay, when you look at the job market, people are struggling to get jobs. It's all because of these corporations. When you look at the housing, all right, all you got to do is type in Blackstone and housing. That's it. Just type that in. Type it into Google, Blackstone and housing, and read about it. Read about what you're going to see about Blackstone, how much power they have over, properties that people are actually getting priced out of. Okay, and that's what they're doing. Okay, they're buying up all the property, all the real estate property, and so on and so forth. Okay, and now I believe they've turned their attention to the healthcare system. All right, so they're using very predatory tactics. All right, to weed people out of this healthcare system, and that's why 2026 is going to be a very, very terrible year. All right, especially with in regards to healthcare and America. All right, and this whole government shutdown, all right, it's going to rear its ugly head right back again, and it starts at the end of January. Okay, because the government shutdown that was extended, all right, or when they resumed back in November, was it like the middle of November or something like that? When they resumed, okay, it was an extension to the end of January. All right, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen, which pretty much the end of January is the end of the fourth quarter. All right, so we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. All right, we're gonna see. It's all gonna be in the dead of winter. All right, so we'll see. Anyway, go back to your point. So you look at the housing costs, all right, which is being driven up by these non-governmental agents or agencies or organizations. All right, and you look at technological upheaval. All right, all these tech giants are going back and forth. Even though they work together, they appear to be going back and forth, which is all part of the disruption of people's daily lives. Okay, OpenAI comes in and says this, and then the next day Neuralink comes in and says that, and the next day Oracle comes in and says this, and then the next day Palantir comes in and says that. All right, and it keeps on going on and on and on. Okay, and each and everything that they do, it changes your actual life. Okay, Nvidia might come in and say, "Oh, we're no longer producing these kinds of chips." That's gonna rise the cost of other things that depends on those chips, right? And it becomes a scarcity problem. It's just a whole lot of shit, bro. Okay, but it's all being done by design. It says, as Harvard senior Kritika Nagapa notes, quote, "You really can't lie to young people about the economy, especially when they're just trying to get by," end quote. And these people, the very foundation of America itself has lied to them. Okay, go to school and get a good job. What is that all about? Why is that the only way out? Why did they pitch it like that's the only way out? When nowadays they saying that blue collar jobs and people who are studying AI, they're gonna have the leg up over everybody else. Okay, so apparently what they're saying is we all need to start learning some AI shit. Like, listen, we ain't got that much time here. All right, if you know a little bit about AI, hey, that's good. You know what I'm saying? If you're studying it up, you kind of know what you got going on with that. That's beautiful. All right, that's beautiful. That's always a one leg up, right? In this whole ass system that we're living in. Okay. It says AI emerges as Gen Z's top fear, with 59% seeing it as a direct threat to their careers, because it is. All right, outpacing immigration 31% and outsourcing 48%. It says this bipartisan dread underscores AI's role in fueling instability. All right, remember AI means what? A heap of ruins. It's ruining everything for you. Okay, one thing after the other. All right, and remember, healthcare will run through AI. Your ability to be what they call to gain or receive healthcare is going to run through AI. How well do you comply with what the AI algorithm says? Right? Are you in compliance? Are you up to date? Those things are all coming. Okay, it's all coming. It says, and it's all going to be tied into your bank as well. So everything that you do, whether it be online or offline, will be tied into your monetary, freedom, if you will. There's going to be a lot of limitations. How much money you can take out at a time, how much money you can spend, what you can spend it on, right? So we really can't call this money. It's all digitally programmable currency is what they call it. It's crazy. It says poll director John Della Volpe warns, quote, instability is shaping nearly every part of young people's lives, end quote. Right? That's scary. Right? That's scary, man. You're going to school for nothing. They got all these curriculums. You like to think that the school board will say, hey, with the way things are looking, it's like we might have to change the curriculum so that we can help the students who go to college actually, instead of taking all these gen ed classes that they're not going to use for anything, why don't we just start having a curriculum where you actually learn about AI, because that's where the future is at. But no, they're going to make niggas waste their time taking nursing courses, and then the next year tell you that, oh, by the way, you're not going to be able to find a job because AI and robots are taking over all those nursing jobs. So the school that you went to for the past 4 years or 8 years or however long it takes for a nursing degree, oh, that was for nothing, by the way. I'm sorry, but system has changed. So either you change with it, or you're just going to be on a UBI and be in some type of C camp somewhere. Okay? It says, economic woes intersect with political disillusionment. Negative views dominate both parties. Only 46% favor Democratic congressional control, while President Donald Trump's approval dips to 29%. Damn. Alarmingly, 39% deem political violence acceptable in some scenarios. Listen to that. 39% deem political violence acceptable in some scenarios. A first-time query yielding sobering results. These trends erode trust in institutions, per the report, risking long-term national stability. Gen Z's faith in upward mobility crumbles amid stagnant wages and tech-driven displacement. Okay, so that's the end of the article. But again, it goes to show you that even people who are quote-unquote Gen Z, right? They call them Gen Z and all that. It makes sense why this generation is feeling all of these things all at the same time. Okay, because this is the last generation, Gen Z. Okay, and this is pretty much the last generation before you see the New World Order and the destruction of America, which leads us into the kingdom of heaven. Okay, so I'm gonna read a little bit about this as well. All right, it says the United States convened a special global summit in September of 2000, establishing a new charter for what they called global democracy. Okay, so this is going to explain why all of these things are happening, and you're going to see a lot more of it come 2026. All right, it's going to be more of a push towards this agenda of ultimately having every man, woman, and child microchipped, point blank, period. And that will be the fulfillment of the MOTB prophecy coming to pass. All right, it says it was signed by leaders from 56 nations as well as many private non-government organizations, otherwise known as NGOs. Economist John Kenneth Galbraith analyzed this charter and said that it will implement laws in which each UN member must surrender their sovereignty to the world body. The charter calls for the integration of all corporations and financial institutions and the elimination of private corporate rights. The laws make sure that every country will lose its sovereignty and national government. The charter calls for the cancellation of all debt owned by the poorest nations, global poverty reductions, and the equitable sharing of all global resources. Remember, as they say, you will own nothing and you will be happy. You're going to be renting things. There'll be no such thing as, oh, I'm poor, oh, I'm rich. Everybody's going to be knocked down to the same level playing field. Okay? It says he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. That means everyone, each and every social class, no matter who you are. Okay? It says here they too speak about a national dividend to each citizen. However, according to the G7 meeting in 1955, which introduced a charter entitled, quote, People of the World, end quote, the proposition of a national dividend would fall under the dictatorship of a global resource bank manned by the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank. It is all ruled and owned by the Rothschilds, okay? Instead of an American Federal Credit Commission and national credit account proposed by the Social Credit Plan. Article 2 of the United Nations Charter states, quote, free access to the World Bank is by telecommunication, end quote. Let's read that again. Article 2 of the United Nations Charter states, free access to the World Bank is by telecommunication. What does this mean? This means that all transactions, buying and selling, would be made electronically, with the result of total control of all financial transactions by the IMF and the World Bank. This is an article. This is the proposal of Article 2. Okay, or I should say Article 2 of the United Nations Charter. That's what it states. Free access to the World Bank is by telecommunication. Okay? And what does that mean? It means that all transactions will be made electronically. Okay? Let's read a little bit more. How are they going to be able to do that? Let's read. The un-American dividend itself would be in a form of electronic money. How are they going to do the electronic money? Let's read. With a microchip or biosensor. Biosensor is probably the word they're going to be using rather than microchip, because the MOTB, as we say, is the RFID microchip, that reverberates throughout everywhere. So they don't want to make that connection. So they're probably going to use biosensor. So when you start pushing it out and you start hearing the word biosensor, it's the same as a microchip. Okay? And what is it going to be doing? It's going to be implanted under the skin of each individual. Every form of production will be taken over by the new world government, and each citizen will be forced to turn to these rulers of the world in a cashless society for sustenance and support. So Revelation 13, right? Let's get that. We always bring it out, but we're going to keep bringing it out. Why not? All right. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So what we just read in this article about Gen Z or young Americans believing that the country is heading down a dark road and have lost faith in America is because these people have caused this to happen. Okay? These so-called new rulers, these non-governmental organizations that are creating this new world government, okay, by partnering up with your governments around the world. Like Klaus Schwab said, we penetrate the cabinets, right? They have young global leaders. All right, they all come together with one plan, one consent. And that's all to what? To create this so-called new world order. The private-public partnership, okay? With the people being enslaved via a microchip. So it's all ultimately in a cashless society for sustenance and support. So Revelation 13 and 16 is becoming much more clear. All right. That no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. Right. Verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, right, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Simple. So in order to engage, all right, the un-American dividend itself will be in a form of electronic money, with a microchip or / biosensor implanted under the skin of each individual. That's the end goal. That's what John is reporting about in Revelation 13, verse 16 and 17 and 18. Okay? The RFID microchip is the MOTB. Point blank, period. Don't let these other camps fool you. Okay? It says, every form of production will be taken over by the new world government, and each citizen will be forced to turn to these rulers of the world in a cashless society for sustenance and support. That's your NGOs. They are going to run everything. And it's all going to go through them. All right. Contrary-wise, well, actually, you know what? Contrary-wise, the social doctrine of the Christian church, which is social credit applied, gives us principles of justice that allows every man, woman, and child to the right to live, to have a part of all the natural resources and fruits of our modern technology handed down from past generations, and the true freedom that those resources entail. And that's another reason why they want to do away with the Bible, because the Bible preaches about being fruitful and multiplying. These devils says, nah, we're going to have to depopulate. Okay, the Bible teaches you about, having dominion over the whole entire planet, all right, which the Lord gave to Adam. All right, he says you could have, power over you could eat the herbs, all right, the fruit bearing a seed, you could eat that, all these different, the animals, the ones that are lawful, you can have that, and so on and so forth. Okay, the earth is for us. We need to take over it and take care of it. You see, Esau saying, nah, the resources, nah, we're gonna put a stop to this. You can't just have it whenever you want. We're gonna run all this shit now. It says, we must inform the people that they have been lied to by the very people that they have trusted to run their countries. The governments who have sold their citizens and nations to the financial moguls of today. And they're all part of, you got the people in the Supreme Court, they're part of it. The people in your Congress, they're all part of it. And the executive branch, which has your president, they're all part of it, because that's the highest office of the land, the president. Okay? And they did say that they're going to be using the highest office of the land to foment this plan. Okay? So yeah, forget about all this we the people shit. Ain't no more we the people. All right, it's over with. All right, it's over with. Okay, and these people have been taken over by the deception of Esau Edom. Okay, the seducing spirits, the devices that they use. All right, as a form of hypocrisy. Okay, and they're bringing all these things into fruition, man. Okay, bringing all these things into fruition. But yeah, we're almost out of here. We're seeing all these things coming to pass, man. We're almost out of here. We're almost out of here. All right, let me get this last precept here, and then we're gonna close it out. All right. There's a book of Revelation. There's a book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. It says, and then shall that wicked be revealed. All right. Every single day that we do these lessons, we're revealing the wicked more and more. Okay. Something that they don't want us to bring out, which is the truth. But that's all we got to do is to bring out the truth. That's it. We don't got to do anything else. Like all these niggas that be doing all this extra shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Lord is not looking for that. Yahushua wasn't doing extra shit. The disciples weren't doing extra shit. They were just going out there and teaching the truth. And that's it. That's all we need to do. Okay? It says, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So the Lord is the one who's going to be doing all that. Okay? He's the one who's put the spirit on us, all right, to speak the truth about these devils and about everything that's going on. Okay? And that's why they're in desperation mode. Everything they're doing is almost like they're crashing out. Okay? Esau Edom is crashing out, man. All right? And 2026, ooh, it's coming. Verse 9, it says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. Okay, when you go into that word delusion, all right, it's not just strong. It's not just a delusion. It's a strong delusion. Okay, it says what? It says mental straying, right? You got mental health, right? Mental straying. It says error, wrong opinion relative to morals or religion. That's America. Okay? It says error which shows itself in action, a wrong mode of acting. That is people of America today. Okay? It says error, that which leads into error, deceit or fraud. Oh my goodness. All right? That's America for you, man. Fraudulence. Okay? Everything about America is fraudulent. Okay? Misleading. A vagabond, imposter, corrupt. Oh my goodness. Seducer. Okay? So the Lord put a strong delusion. That strong delusion is going to. That's why you people believe all this shit. You're susceptible to any and every trick that this devil got in his bag, man. That's why the Lord says, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. All right. They got all this AI stuff going on. It's hard to even tell what's true, what's real, and what's not. The only thing you could use to determine if it's true or not is the knowledge that you have of the scriptures. That's the only thing you could use as a form of deciphering what you're seeing. You know, you're watching it, you're like, oh shit, they got whatchamacallit, they got Michael Jackson dancing on stage. And you like, yeah, I know that this nigga is dead. Like he ain't gonna just rise up out of nowhere and start dancing on stage. So I know this is fake. You know? Shit like that. Like you're gonna be seeing things that you could just go back to the scriptures and be like, well, the scripture says that Esau is red, so how come this nigga turned brown all of a sudden? We know that's fake. All right, so that's not even that's AI right there. You know, because the truth that we have and the understanding we have of all things, as written 1 John 2:20, right? That the Lord has given us the unction. We have an unction from the Holy One, therefore we know all things. All right, things that we ought to know, we know. Okay, the Lord has exercised our discernment. All right, so that's why it says, what? If it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But it's not possible because the Lord has heightened our discernment to be able to understand the things that we're seeing. Okay. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it. That's all I had. All right, I'm going to leave it off there. Lord willing, you were edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bracha Kodesh, the Wadi Ha, Basham Shai. And until next time, Shalom. Yah Basham Shai Brakatam. Shalom.